AskReddit by ReddiBooM. What is unethical as fuck, but is extremely common practice in the business world? Paying invoices late, especially big companies that pay a few months late. It kills small business and seems to be quite normal here in the UK. Signing people up for shit as add-ons to an existing bill and hoping they don't notice the extra charges. Doing illegal shit to make $20 million, then getting caught and paying a $5 million fine. No auto cancel on recurring payments. Companies could very easily add the feature, but won't, hoping you forget and pay them more. Letting an employee go, easing them out instead of addressing a situation they brought up. Not including wage info in the job posting. At least post the range or minimum for the position. Refusing to pay overtime for overtime. I saw it happen all the time. I didn't complain. I got promoted a bunch. It's shady to give dedicated, long-term employees a measly 2-3% annual raise, if any at all, while hiring less experienced people for the same, or higher, salary than the experienced employee. It essentially punishes loyal employees. And they wonder why the recent generations tend to company hop more. No loyalty from the company? Don't expect any from the employees. Consistently making salaried exempt employees work 10+ hours overtime a week in order to avoid hiring more staff. Congress is immune to insider trading. Rocketing the price of stuff and putting a sale. Sadly, people are stupid enough to fall for this. I forget which store it was, but they would hike prices and have constant sales. They then decided that wasn't worth the effort and money in advertising the sales and just marked everything down to the sale price and called it a day. Their sales actually tanked until they went back to the old system. People refused to buy the same merch at the same price unless they were explicitly told they were getting a deal on it, even when the regular price was absurdly overpriced to start with. In Australia, Subway claimed footlong was a trademark name and not a suggestion of sizing, after many people pointed out their subs were well under a foot long. Using a previous salary against you. Oh, you make $40,000? Well, we'll offer you $50,000. That's a 25% increase in pay. Your salary shouldn't be relative. It should be what the market value of the position is. If a job pays $75,000, don't pay me only $50,000, because I only currently make $40,000. Working when you are sick. I have heard stories of bosses forcing people to come in despite being extremely ill. Also, I just wish that it would be mandatory schedule length of at least 2 weeks if the hours are not the same every day. Mine changes weekly and it's hard to plan anything. Making you pay more for printing your own damn tickets at home. StubHub, Ticketmaster, etc. Hire young people who are prepared and motivated and enjoy the work. Give them 50 hours a week of work, no special overtime pay. Tell them it'll be back to normal at the end of the month when the regular crunch is over. Repeat until near a deadline. Give them 80 hours a week, 7 days a week of crunch to meet the deadline. Continue past deadline a little, while then return to regular hours of 50 hours. Repeat until your employees hate life. Refuse to give references when they quit to protect yourself legally. Normalize across the industry so nobody can complain too much and sound credible. Using your employment as leverage to keep your mouth shut. For example, a temp agency I worked through tried to deduct the cost of PPE from my paycheck. I told them that legally, employers need to provide PPE to their employees, not sell it to them. They threatened to fire me. I reported them to OSHA. They got fined and had to reimburse everyone their $15 deduction for PPE. Temp agencies are fucking scams. Edit. PPE. Personal protective equipment. Hard hat. Safety glasses. Gloves. Steel-tipped boots, etc. Edit. I listed steel-toe boots as an example of PPE, but employers aren't necessarily required to provide steel-tipped shoes. Most employers will reimburse the cost of them, though, for regular employees. Not so much for temps. The sort of things that need to be supplied would be protective headwear, eyewear, gloves, etc. Not too sure about ear protection, but my employer supplies earplugs. Also, to the few thinking he did this over $15, what a cheapskate. I didn't do it for the money. I did it because they were taking advantage of people who didn't know any better. A menial amount to you? Probably. But when I applied to this agency, I was broke as fuck, and $15 was more than my hourly wage. Not cool. A company having a business model that relies on charging fees for breaking its own rules without justification for them. Looking at you, Credit One has a late payment fee, but refuses to add any kind of auto payment. In 2017, takes 5 days to clear a normal payment. Pay 4 days before your bill is due? That's a late payment fee. Want your payment to clear earlier to avoid that fee? Pay an express payment fee. It's the same fee amount. Lordy, what a coincidence. Online stores advertise their products at attractively lower prices, but you will never really be able to get the product for that price, because they will add extra charges somehow. Nominal weights and measures that don't match actual weights and measures. My company sells by the each, but each item has a nominal weight. We intentionally produce our product approximately 10% light, to save raw material costs. I've seen so many to name just one. Here's the worst I've seen. So, PCB are highly toxic, highly carcinogenic stuff used mainly as coolant in power transformers. Heavy industries often have their own transformers, usually on the roof of their building. When these transformers get old, they need to be replaced, and the PCB need to be destroyed properly. However, doing this properly is very costly. So, a solution is to wait for a rainy day, then pour the PCB in the gutters on the roof of the heavy industries building, where the power transformers typically are. This way they disperse on the ground and no one is the wiser. Well, since then, laws were changed to make sure that all power transformers are labeled and tracked by the government to ensure their proper disposal. Still, sometimes a few older units get overlooked. And this is how I learned of this trick. The heavy industries building is in the middle of a large city with kids playing nearby and all. Fuck these fuckers. Fake promotions. There's a role you can apply for that doesn't have any extra pay or benefits, in which you do the same work as the role above that, which is higher paid, in the hopes that eventually you'll be the next in line to actually be given that next position. Except you won't. Whenever you accept a job with the well for 6 months you'll be doing the lesser job, but after that it's gonna shift into the better job with extra pay spiel. Keep applying for jobs during that 6 months and line up other options. When you get the inevitable well things aren't progressing as we hoped, but if you stay in the lesser job another 6 months then there'll be a real possibility. Just say yes. Things aren't progressing as we hoped, here's my letter of resignation. Bye. Using unpaid intern as worker. They have the exact same tasks as everyone else. They work the same hours, even more because they think that if they work more they will be noticed and hired. They won't, and it's rare that their supervisor take the time to teach them anything. They have to figure out things by themselves. Of course most struggle, and it's used as an excuse to not hire them. Careful, deceptive wording. Up to 100 Mbps internet speeds means you get 5, 6 Mbps, and up to 100 for a moment here and there. Made with 100% chicken simply means that real chicken was utilized as an ingredient at some point. It's like saying a bottle of wine is made with 100% organic cork. Sugar free means less sugar per serving than the minimum we have to report. The top rated underscore, usually followed by the specific study that ranked it best. Did you know you can pay a company to perform a study for you that's guaranteed to determine you're the best? Government contracting. Building a thing to specs, but not entirely up to full functionality. Knowing the issues that will arise, doing nothing about it, and then make the government cut a whole different and very profitable contract to fix said problems. Convenience fees for paying online instead of mailing in a check money order. Are you fucking kidding me? You should be giving me a discount for saving you labor costs of processing my payment. Edit. Everyone keeps mentioning they have to pay credit card fees, website hosting, etc. But that is part of your business. Put it in with the other services you must pay for to operate your business. Target has to pay a power bill and water bill for me to shop in their store. If I spend $1 or $1,000 they don't add a fee for me using their store, wiping my butt with their toilet paper in their restrooms, or using my debit card or credit card. If you want part of your business model to be accepting online payments, then you set up your business so that you can still profit from this practice. When Walmart installed those new scan and find the price things you see every 10 aisles or so they didn't tack on a new charge to my purchase for we'll let you have cool price check scanners in the store now. No, just a new technology they worked into their business model. I don't pay extra for the guy pushing the carts into the building, even if I use a cart or don't use one. Edit 2. Also, the original complaint that made me post this is that my state child support agency makes me go buy too many orders and mail them by hand every month because to pay online on their website they want $15 Oh, and they already tack on $5 MO to my child support for administrative fees that goes in their pocket, not in the pocket of my gold digging pill popping tattoo artist cheating with crack whore of an egg donor. Comcast's pricing strategy, where they raise the price an absurd amount from one month to the next and just hope customers aren't paying attention or too passive to complain. Called Comcast Friday to try and lower my bill. I tell them I don't want the phone, any of the premium channels other than HBO, give me regular internet instead of blast, and I don't need the DVR. They come back with packages that are $20 to $50 more than what I'm currently paying. Let me get this straight. I drop STARZ, Showtime, Cinemax, phone line, go to a slower internet package, and give up the DVR box and I pay more. How does this make sense? Public school teacher here. My school has started to deduct vacation sick hours if teachers forget to swipe in. We're basically there all the time anyways and don't get paid overtime, so clocking in is pretty easy to forget. What ends up happening is teachers get their accumulated vacay sick hours deducted while actively teaching, all because of a forgotten swipe. The admin and district people didn't seem to see how absolutely unethical this practice is, and I never got back 4 days of vacay hours from missed swipes. Literally anything a corporation does that they can be fined for is taken into account as a business expense. If it's cheaper to pay an illegal dumping fine than it is to change the way they process waste, nothing will be done to stop the illegal dumping. People give no fucks about your luggage or parcel. They get dropped, thrown around every day behind the closed door, especially heavy items. I remember looking out the plane window at the luggage handlers. I do not recommend this. In Birmingham, US. They were dropping boxes, kicking things half-heartedly to push them in, acting like junior high kids given chores they don't want to do. Their orange vests hung shoddily from their shoulders as they shuffled around on the tarmac. Many hours later we arrived in Japan. The luggage handlers had white gloves, seriously, signaled each other in their transport carts, signaled and stopped even when no one seemed near, really took their job seriously. I don't suggest nothing ever gets lost in Japan, and I know Japan isn't perfect, but the difference was striking. Getting a lot more common in my industry is hiring interns all the time. After their few months of training they get replaced by next batch. With a shortage of jobs and need for experience, many people fresh out of college will happily work for free to gain experience. Some degree of false advertising. My food never looks like it does on the menu. My internet is never as fast as advertised. The contractor never finishes when he says he will. Hire a batch of temps as temp to hire, with the supposed idea being that you'll be offered a permanent position at the end of the temp period with satisfactory performance. Set performance standards that are borderline physically impossible to meet. After the end of the temp period, be like, sorry guys, can't hire you on because you didn't meet our performance standards. Hire a new batch of temps. A plastics company I temped for did this at their injection molding plant. The whole complex was run with basically a skeleton crew of company workers, admin, with a constantly rotating batch of temps making up the bulk of the workforce. Okay, so this is becoming really common in my neck of the woods. Basically a company needs someone to fill a role. Instead of giving them a job and all the perks like paid holidays etc, they instead hire you as a contractor. This means you still have to play by their rules as to when they want you in, but you get none of the perks besides your wage. No sick days, no holidays, nothing. Edit. I wrote this while at work as a quick comment and didn't expect it to gain any traction, but since it did I need to make something clear. I should have been clearer as there's a lot of confusion over this. I'm not referring to high paying jobs, where a lot of the time being a contractor is the way to go. This system has been implemented over here for retail service jobs. You end up making less since you get paid the same as permanent workers, but you are entitled to no bonuses, paid holiday or sick days. When you're working a minimal wage job, this is nasty. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe.